Hello everyone and welcome to MUET Made Easy. My name is Junaid Hussain and today I'll be guiding you through task 1 of MUET paper 4. Before we go into the video, let me remind you of what's the main aim of MUET Made Easy. Our main task is to provide practical guidance, tips and tricks to students instead of focusing solely on basic academic materials. Because we have seen that even the students learn the academics from their classes, they tend to do bad in exams due to their lack of real-world practical guidance. Alright, so as for the contents of this video, first we'll be going through question format. After understanding the question format, we will learn how to analyze questions properly. Because a good quality of answer depends on how well you can analyze the question. And then we'll move into language and tone. After selecting language and tone, we'll move into answering, and finally we'll top off with some example questions. Alright, before going into the main contents, let me remind you of the basic format of the guided writing or task 1 of paper 4. You should be taking at most of 25 minutes because task 2 is much bigger and harder than task 1. So you should be allocating at least 50 minutes for task 2 while keeping 25 minutes for task 1. Your answer should have at least 100 words. And finally, as all of you are aware, task 1 consists of letters and emails. Letters can get of two types, informal or formal, while emails usually tend to be of informal, as seen in the recent questions. Alright, now let's begin with the question format. Your question will consist of two main parts. Firstly, the stimulus. The stimulus is basically the given letter or email in your question. The given letter or email will shape the context, scenario, role, purpose, and recipient of your answer. Moving on, the second part are the notes. The notes are basically short instructions that will guide your answer. This can be thought of as guidelines, paths, or tracks towards a proper, well-organized answer. Keep in mind, notes are not extra, they are mandatory. If you mess up one of the notes, you will definitely get a reduced mark in your answer. Okay, let's begin analyzing questions because the quality of your answers will definitely depend on how well you can analyze your questions. Okay, so I personally have divided the analysis of questions into three main parts. The first part is choosing answer format. Letters and emails have different types of formats, so you have to know which one to write for your answer. The second step is understanding the stimulus. Since the stimulus will shape the whole context, scenario, roles, recipients for your answers, you must definitely understand the stimulus in depth. The third step is to analyze the notes because each and every note must be properly addressed and integrated into your answer to get a good score. And we'll deal with them one by one throughout the body paragraph. Moving on. So, choosing answer format. Letters have four main parts. The first part is the address and dates. As shown in the example, address are usually written in a detailed manner, which includes street number or name, area, city, and finally zip code. Dates are usually written as 20 May 2022 as shown in the example. Notice that there's no comma between the month, date, or year. Next, the body has two main parts, the salutation and the body. Both of them are written along the left margin of your page. Finally, you will have a complimentary closing which should be written in the lower right of your page. Keep in mind the address, date, and the closing complimentary closing are all at the right hand side of your page, while the salutation and the body are at the left hand side of your page. As for the emails, every single segment is on the left hand side of the page. You should begin with from and subject. From is basically the name and email of the recipient of your mail. As shown in the box, it can be written as name Sharifa and then a lesser than symbol, right? The email of the recipient closed by a greater than symbol. The subject, on the other hand, is just a short summary of the main purpose topic of your email. And then comes the salutation, the body, and the complimentary close, all of which are at the left-hand side of the page. Okay, now the second step is understanding the stimulus. This can also be divided into three main parts for the ease of understanding. So basically, you have to identify three main things from a stimulus: the role, the recipient, and the purpose. The role is basically what role are you playing while writing the answer. Are you a student, a customer, a club member, an employee, whatever? And then the recipient. You have to understand who you are writing the letter to. Is it your teacher? Is it your friend, your colleague, your family member, etc.? And finally, you have to identify the purpose. Is it a response letter? Is it a suggestion letter? Is it a complaint? Is it a request? Is it an inquiry? And so on. I've given two examples here. Let's start with example number one. As seen, if you read the letter which says, "Hi Zaki, hope you're fine. How was your semester break? What did you do?" "I was busy working on my article to be published in the school magazine. I'm writing on the person I admire the most. Of course, I chose to write about the Tung Lee Chong Wei, as I love to play badminton too." If you continue reading, you'll begin to realize that you're playing the role of a friend or a classmate here. As for the recipient, he's also your friend or classmate. Since both the role and recipient are friends or classmates, you must choose an informal tone for your answer. That means the language can be friendly and relaxed while still remaining polite. As for the purpose, if you continue reading, you'll begin to realize that the purpose of the email is clearly responding to the recipient's questions. So stay relevant and coherent to the question to get a good score on task 1. Moving on to the second example, here's a different example where you are playing the role of a student. The recipient, on the other hand, is your teacher. So since the role and the recipient are reflecting a student-teacher relationship, you must choose a semi-formal tone for answering this question, which means although language can be a bit relaxed, you must be polite and respectful while not being too casual. The purpose of this email, on the other hand, is suggesting some ideas to the recipients. Here, if you read the email, you will notice that your teacher is asking for some ideas and suggestions for an upcoming event. So you as a student will provide suggestions in this case. And thirdly, the final step of analyzing questions is analyzing the notes. So honestly, there's not much to do with notes before beginning to answer. But what you can do is understand what each note implies. Describe, for example, means giving detailed information. Well done means praising for action or effort. Fantastic means giving an enthusiastic approval, while complain means stating your problem, and so on. So once you have done with analyzing the question, you should move on planning or making a draft for your answer. That's why we will begin language and tone. Alright, so firstly we'll understand the differences between informal, semi-formal, and formal. So what are these? Informal letters are personal communication with people you are really close with. This includes your family members, your friends, your classmates, and so on. Semi-formal letters, on the other hand, are communications with people you know yet respect, honor, or behave professionally with. This includes your teachers or your colleagues. Formal letters, on the other hand, are totally professional communication with totally unknown people or authority figures. A table has been provided here which shows the basic differences on what you can write or cannot write in each of the three types of letters. Slangs, for example, are totally avoided in formal letters, while encouraged to be written in informal or semi-formal letters. Same goes for idioms and abbreviations, which are totally prohibited to be used in formal letters. On the other hand, very polite language is to be used in formal letters, but using too polite language in informal letters will be seen as backdated, as informal letters or semi-formal letters tend to be a bit more relaxed or friendly and casual. Alright, now let's see the variations in grammar and vocabulary. As for grammars, the first point is contractions. Contractions cannot be used in formal letters by any chance, while these are encouraged to be used in informal letters and semi-formal letters, as contractions tend to express a relaxed tone. As for passive or active voice, passive voices are mostly used in formal letters, because passive voices tend to sound professional in an indirect manner. Use of pronouns. You should use impersonal pronouns in formal letters, as these are also indirect, while on the other hand, you should be using personal pronouns like you, I, me, we in informal letters or semi-formal letters. Same goes for linkers, where you should be using formal linkers like however, therefore, consequently, hereafter, herewith, etc. While simple linkers like but, so, then, etc. are used in informal letters. You can keep a screenshot of this page for further use in future answers. Variations in vocabulary. Variations in vocabulary is a really broad topic. It cannot be showed as mathematical formula as we can do for grammar. So here I have given a few examples of same sentences written in formal and informal tones. Let's start with the first example. The next available appointment is on Tuesday. So, like, this sounds really formal. This is something you should be using in formal letters. On the other hand, the informal tone is how about we meet up on Thursday? It's just informal and relaxed. The second example, I would like to invite you to visit on Thursday. Very formal. And the equivalent informal sentence can be, why don't you pop around to my place? So if you go through this example, you will notice that the informal sounds relaxed, friendly, and casual, while the formal avoids contractions, uses passive voices, and everything sounds really serious. Alright, here I have given three examples from three different tones to express the differences between their vocabulary and grammar. So the informal says, hi Ayman, I just wanted to tell you about this cool internship I found and ask what you think. See, everything sounds totally relaxed, casual, there's contractions, there's spoken style grammars used. And moving on to the semi-formal example, it says, I'm writing to ask if I could complete my internship at your department next semester. So in the example, you can see that a single contraction has been used, there are modal verbs, and there's a perfect balance between every professional and everyday casual words. Formal letter, on the other hand, says, I would like to inquire about the internship that has been advertised on your company. So you can see everything sounds really serious. There's formal verbs and phrases like inquire, opportunities, or advertised. There's absolutely no slangs or casual words, no contractions, very polite structure as it begins with I am writing to. So you can notice the very visible differences between three tones of letter, and you should be choosing accordingly during answering your questions depending on the stimulus and notes. Here's a few examples of useful idioms. Idioms, phrases, or interesting clauses can improve your answer greatly. But keep in mind, idioms can only be used for formal, informal letters and semi-formal letters, and do not use them in formal letters by any chance. A few examples and their meanings and idioms are given here. You can take a screenshot of this page for further usage in the future. Similarly, I have given a few examples of useful phrases and clauses for formal letters. As seen, some examples are, I am writing to draw your attention to, I would be grateful if you could, further to our recent correspondence, I wish to express my sincere appreciation for, it has come to my notice that, see, everything sounds really serious and most of the sentences are in passive voices and so on.